My name is Stephanie Proctor, and my research question is, are law enforcement cameras an invasion of privacy? So, in today's day and age, we have made a lot of technological advancements, one of those being the camera. The camera has recreational uses like capturing photos of family and friends, but it can also affect legal outcomes. Cameras are everywhere, in cell phones, on traffic lights, in surveillance outside of stores. They are important in legal outcomes. They determine guilty, not guilty, life and death. And this is why body-worn cameras and police surveillance should be allowed. They provide clarity and honesty within our police force. So a term commonly referred to is Big Brother is watching, and that's the notion most people get when thinking about police surveillance, that someone's always watching their actions, someone's always trying to control their actions. Well, that is not the case. Police surveillance is not something that happens 24/7. People do tend to behave better when someone is watching, and this is why police-worn cameras and police surveillance is important. Police officers would be more aware of how they choose to use force and how much force they choose to use in situations. They could also drop the number of complaints filed against them by having surveillance of what actually happened in real time. Citizens can dispute what happens during a traffic stop, but they can also go back and review the footage to see if the police officer is being dishonest or if the citizen is being dishonest. And beginning police officers could go back and review tapes of their day, and they could see where they need to improve, whether that be in temperament or how they interact with the people they pull over or just encounter on a daily basis. So, some evidence for those pros is that, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, officers who wore body-worn cameras or surveillance of some type were less likely by 14% to be called out in citizens' complaints than those that did not. Another important thing is that 77% of people in the U.S. have a camera of some sort, but a camera does not always capture the full picture. So while a citizen is recording, a body-worn camera could have what is going on from both angles. A body-worn camera would be on from the start of the interaction to the end of the interaction, so that some parts are not misinterpreted. Overall, police surveillance and body-worn cameras just provide an overall clarity and keep the honesty within the police force. And the footage can always be reviewed. So to anything, just like there are pros, there are cons. So some say police officers do not need body-worn cameras, that traffic cameras are unfair, and some surveillance cameras should just be moved in general. Some say body-worn cameras are unnecessary and they invade the privacy. So statements like traffic cameras are unnecessary. When you really put it into perspective, traffic cameras, catching someone speeding or running a red light on a traffic camera could deter them from doing it a second time. But if that traffic camera is not there, they get used to speeding, and next thing you know, it could take away a life in a very bad car accident. And it could all be prevented with a ticket or some other type of deterrent. So, another thing is the cost of body-worn cameras. Well, when you put that into perspective, situations happen with police officers that result in settlements for millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that same money can be put into body-worn cameras so that when these situations do arise, they often happen more than once. It's rarely the first time that they occur. So when the footage is reviewed, the behavior of that officer could also be reviewed and corrected. There are thousands of police officers in America, and another problem would be storage of that footage. And like I said earlier, the settlements and money paid out to these people could be put into storing and producing these body-worn cameras. And you can also put a timestamp on how long these pieces of footage are held and kept. Also, being sure that the body camera is on. It can just be simply made a rule that whenever you are in an interaction, a criminal interaction with a citizen, that you have to switch your body camera on. And if that body camera is not on, if facts come to dispute, at the end of the investigation, whether the police officer is found guilty as charged or not guilty, he should still have faced disciplinary action. So the most controversial part of police surveillance and body-worn cameras is protection versus privacy, maintaining the privacy of the police officer and the citizen. So what I've come to find out is a person's personal image is not completely private, especially when in a public place or when breaking the law. Police officers are not required to announce that their body-worn camera is on if it is visible. Ultimately, this is a preventive measure that has been proven with numbers to better the community. Overall, unless law enforcement cameras hurt the police and the public more than they help them, and more than they produce honest convictions, then they should be implemented everywhere rather than be a choice. They do not invade the privacy of citizens or the police officers. Thank you for your time.